Hello and welcome to Campus Drive, your one-way street to all things HCC. I'm your host, Matt Jackson, manager of Dragon Podcast here at Dragon Media. Today we're spotlighting a powerful tradition of youth storytelling, the Howard County Student Film Festival, held this year on May 2nd at the Miller Library. This annual event brings together student filmmakers from across the county to showcase their creativity, civic engagement, and technical skill. One of this year's standout entries, a moving documentary titled The Flood of Resilience, created by Gabby Nguyen, Anna Lagos, and Leinani David. Their film explores the devastating Ellicott City floods and the community journey to rebuild, featuring interviews with County Executive Calvin Ball and Delegate Courtney Watson. This festival includes multiple categories, including this year's drug-free public service announcement category, which focused on the theme, Make the Call and Help Without Hesitation. The winning PSA in that category, a film called Don't Just Yelp, Call for Help, created by Austin Levin and Varun Kasaraman from Centennial High School. Other finalists included Conan Chung from Reservoir High School and Charlotte Hale from Mayfield Woods Middle School. But this episode isn't just about awards, it's about impact. These films are more than just class projects. They're also being aired on Dragon Media's public access channel here at Howard Community College to give student voices a platform to reach the broader community. So buckle up. We're about to explore how storytelling can shape civic awareness, inspire action, and bring a community together. You're now listening to Campus Drive.
Hi, I'm Anna Lagos.
Hi, I'm Gabby Nguyen.
Hi, I'm Leinani David.
This year's festival featured a wide range of student films. One of the standout entries was The Flood of Resilience, created by the talented three students, Gabby Nguyen, Leinani David, and Anna Lagos. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by the filmmakers themselves to talk about their creative process, the story behind the film, and what resilience means to them. Welcome to the show, guys. Can you each introduce yourselves and share your role in making The Flood of Resilience?
Hi, I'm Anna, and I think we all kind of took a part, but we're kind of both like the filmmakers, the editors, and like the scriptwriters as well.
Yeah, I'm Gabby Nguyen, and for sure, I think we all contributed equally to the project, and in terms of like, we all took the role of, like Anna said, editor, we helped write the script, filming, contacting people to interview, all that stuff.
Like, it was just awesome that I got to work with my classmates, and hi again.
That sounds great. What inspired the story behind your film? Was it based on a personal experience? Is it community or something else?
So I guess I'll jump on the beginning. We were assigned a class project that was for CSPAN had a documentary competition, and the theme was, what is your message to the president? And this was back in the beginning of the year, but we submitted it in the winter. I think it was in January. And so that kind of prompted us to start thinking about like, well, what is like an issue that's important to us in our community?
Yeah, and so we just thought like we've heard so many things about like the floods that have been going on in old Ellicott City. And so we thought like that this isn't even just a local issue that we have here in our community. It's also like something that has been like seen throughout. Like we see like everything that's been going on with hurricanes in Florida and such. So it kind of truly inspired us to like truly take that path and try to bring that message.
Particularly if you visit old Ellicott City now, you can see that even currently there's still like big projects that are going on. Like I drive down the road from my house like a couple minutes and I see they're digging and doing all these like tunnels to help prevent flooding. And like I have friends that were personally impacted by the flooding. And we were kind of thinking like this ties into messages about climate change and climate resilience, which ties back to our title. So that's really, I think, what inspired us. And it was something local we could connect and also connect to a broader scheme of what's happening across the country.
To understand the heart of the flood of resilience, we need to rewind to the two catastrophic events that reshaped Ellicott City, the floods of 2016 and 2018. In both cases, torrential rain turned Main Street into a river, destroying homes, small businesses, and lives in a matter of minutes. In response, Howard County launched the Safe and Sound Initiative, a comprehensive plan to protect the historic town through infrastructure upgrades, emergency preparedness, and community engagement. It's not just about rebuilding, it's about reimagining resilience. Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I'm so moved by the idea that you guys are doing a project that's so encompassing, as it has different elements of everything that you guys have experienced from, like you said, something that people that you know is dealing with, but you also have the foresight to make it applicable to what's going on around the country. And I think that makes it evergreen in a way, but it also shows how important it is. Kudos on that. The title, The Flood of Resilience, is like a very powerful title. I know that was one of the first things that jumped off the page when I read it. What does resilience mean to you guys, and how did you try to capture that theme visually and emotionally with your film project?
Well, funny story. We didn't actually know what we were going to title it, but when we were just looking at like the people of and like just the area in Old Ellicott City and how like despite everything they kept rebuilding, and like just a community that we share as neighbors, it just kind of inspired us on like how like we shouldn't make this hopeless. We wanted this to be a more inspiring documentary, something that would actually be a call to action. And that kind of led us to want to put a little bit of hope into the theme. So we found resilience.
Yeah, I think one thing that really stuck out to me is we went and interviewed some of the shopkeepers that were affected by the flooding. And in particular, we interviewed the owner of the Phoenix, a pub in Old Ellicott City. I think his name's Mark. And he was just telling us like he wouldn't have survived without the community. Like there's a flood there's two floods that happened like back to back almost. And if it wasn't for the community that helped him rebuild, his business probably would not have survived. And he in particular told us this story about how he was after the floods. This firefighter came over and handed him like a dog that I think was like blind, and he like took the dog in and helped until they could find their owners. Might have been a cat. And we also interviewed Mr. and Mrs. Shoemaker, and they told us a story about Mrs. Shoemaker told us about how her husband, who was older, climbed literally on top of roofs of buildings to trying to help people get out of these buildings because they couldn't get out obviously on the ground floor. And that was just so inspiring to hear about like all their stories.
Yeah, like on top of that, it's so amazing like how the resilience in the community, because despite all of these events, like Gabby said, like the Mr. Mark, he was just starting off rebuilding his old pub right when the next flood happened, and how like the community, like how Mrs. Shoemaker's husband was helping people get out, and like how close knit the community is, and how they work together to try to make the best of the situation and try to bring out everyone and like help each other is like truly inspiring. It was like that's the resilience that we truly wanted to encompass in this film.
Wow, yeah, and just those personal stories, I can see how that could fuel you guys through your process. And that leads me to my next question. Can you walk me through your creative process from like brainstorming the idea? I know you said you were like presented with a project, but what were some of the initial first thoughts about getting into it? And then what were some of the challenges you faced as you had to go about and get out into the community and find these stories?
So I think a challenge that we definitely faced was, like you said, like going out and finding people to interview, because there already been so much stuff with like news. We contacted some people that said that they really did not want to be interviewed again, which was totally understandable. Right. They didn't have to relive the whole story. And so that was the biggest challenge. But we started off with writing. First of all, we had to draft the idea, and we were trying to think about okay, the prompt, how do we tie back? And the first thing we started with was writing the script. And so we all kind of like got together and we just started writing like ideas. We had a time limit that I think was 6 minutes. Yeah, it was around.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So we knew we had to be able to fit like statistics about flooding. We had to be able to fit the prompt. We wanted to have room for the interviews. And then we also wanted to have room for like the information about like the backstory of the old Ellicott City flooding. So I definitely think that was the first step.
Yeah, and I think that, as Gabby said, with all of that, with the time constraints, it definitely limited us to try to bring out the key information, because we're trying to truly, like, number one, like, bring the impact and see like how this truly has impacted the community, and then like how the background, how this is like a continuing problem and that it needs to be taken action towards, and all of the statistics, like the formal stuff, but also things that appeal and like things that are truly like important to keep in mind, like how it impacted the community as well. Like that's why we focused on interviews, but also mixing it like with the informational stuff to help support us through that.
I also know that like an emotional aspect was a really difficult part for us, because like just I know with the statistics and everything, it made it seem like a really hopeless subject. And because like we had to find the balance between like the people's personal stories of regrowth and like trying to like spark hope into people on such a depressing topic. I know that was also a pretty big issue, especially with the time constraints.
Yeah, and we wanted to make sure we could fit all of the stuff that was like happening locally, if that makes sense. Like we emailed over interview our county executive, Calvin Ball, and like learned about like the Safe and Sound project, which is all the projects they're trying to do now with rebuilding. Like they purchased buildings to demolish, and they have started creating tunnels to help with like the water flow. So that was too. And then the next step was, okay, we used Adobe. So we had like the database, whatever we were going to use to create the video. And then I think we had to start like piecing everything together. We were like, okay, we want to start with this piece, and then we want to have that piece. Okay, we need photos for that, because you can't just have a blank screen and talking. We have to record the voiceovers, paste that in. And obviously we're not like pro filmmakers, so it took like, there was a bit of a learning curve, but I think we got through it pretty well. We had definitely some mishaps with editing.
100%. Like the audio was definitely something that we had trouble with as we were moving things around. Because as we were going through and building this project all together, I think we were also figuring out that the order and how the sequence of things and how we wanted to format everything and how it would make a sequential sense. So we were moving everything around, and so the audio was also a really funny thing that we also had to work through.
I honestly think editing took up most of the time with how much we had to struggle. Adobe is not for the weak-hearted.
No, it is not. And we just had to make sure we had to cut things, because you interview someone and you have this like 10, 20-minute long interview, and you realize your video is only 6 minutes and you wish you could put everything that they said in it, but you have to decide like what are the main points you want to pick.
Yeah, and I think that what you guys have been able to do with these stories, like you say, you have to go and you consume so much information, and you want to be able to highlight all of these different unique perspectives and points of view. But you also have to go into that post-production aspect and say, okay, which one of these quotes makes the film? And I work in podcasts for a living, and audio still is tricky. And yeah, you're right. Adobe definitely has its learning curve. Even though you guys are doing student film, you are getting professional experience, because it doesn't change as you continue to move up with your productions. And so it's always good to hear that you guys are doing the real thing. And I think that that's inspiring. After talking about your creative process, was there like a moment during the production that really stuck with you? There's something that made you feel, okay, like this is exactly why we're doing this. Like, did you have your it moment?
I think mine personally was just all the interviews that we were doing with the people, like especially the Shoemakers interview, about hearing how this, like, because I think he had to have been like 70 or 80 at the time. And he was like, back to Gabby's story, that when she said previously, like this old man, like a 70-something-year-old man had to go climb up onto a roof and was smashing in a rooftop to save people. Like, and just like the fact that was even necessary, and that there are now processes to like help avert drastic measures like that. I think that was my personal connection as to why spreading the word is a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we were interviewing with I think my moment, like I had a couple moments where it was like when we like got the interviews and we sat down with them, and you had that like moment of like, okay, well, these are the people who were actually affected, like this is why I'm sharing this story. And in particular, we had another moment with the owner of the Phoenix where he was talking about like he wishes small businesses would be more aware of the risks that flooding poses when deciding where to put their shops. And old Ellicott City still has a flood risk, and knowing that you're going to need to buy flood insurance, all these things that he wished he would have known. And just like, yeah, hearing that connection, like what Leinani said, like it definitely, and it hit close to home because it's like really close to where we live.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, like it really hit close to home, and it's like how you learn and through everything that you hear from like what all these companies had to go through and what all these business owners had to go through in order to rebuild right from like the bottom up after these floods. Like it's like inspiring how they've like built up, but also it's like also you almost feel like, oh my gosh, like wow, because it's just so impressive. And it's truly like this action needs to be taken. And so I definitely feel like hearing all of these stories have definitely like left have definitely left an impact on me.
It's just amazing to know that what you guys have come together to produce has such a strong utility. I know because those small business owners and those residents of Ellicott City, they don't necessarily always have platforms where they can share that information that they were able to receive or had to experience in order to deal with these tough situations with flooding, knowing about what insurances you may need, or just putting yourself in the mindset to be successful, because a lot of these businesses where you live is your heart and soul, where what you do every day for work is your heart and soul. And so I think you guys being able to use this as a synopsis and to kind of sum up all of these different emotions and ideas, I think that it's really powerful, and it's necessary to continue to help others, especially here in the Ellicott City area or Howard County in general. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. You're listening to Campus Drive on Dragon Podcast. Even focusing more, if we zoom out, let's talk about the Howard County Student Film Festival. Is such a unique platform. What did it mean since you guys went and did all this work that was really community-based? What did it mean to have your project featured and showcased here?
I definitely think that I was very happy because we put all this hard work into it. And so I feel like it was definitely rewarding, and finally being able to send the message out to the community was definitely like something that I really enjoyed and meant when we submitted to the film fest.
Yeah. And I think since I'd never really I'd done other like film stuff for like school before, but I'd never really like dabbled into like, I don't know, I had never really like dabbled into like HoCo Film Fest or like all these like local films. And it was really cool to see what like other schools were doing too, and like all these things that they were doing at the same time that we were. Obviously we had no idea, and to see that like all come to life and like all the work and like the passion that they were able to put into these things, I was just like really happy to be a part of it and just see everyone's hard work like pay off. And I mean like just know that I was able to watch that, and that be a part of that was just really meaningful.
I know you just mentioned you guys got to see the other films. Were there any other films in that festival that inspired you? I know it's got to be cool to just know, even when you're enjoying other films, that like, hey, I'm also a part of this, and someone else is watching what we've done and getting this same feeling. Were there any other films or ideas that stood out to you at the festival?
Yeah, for sure. I think we had another group from our school, our friends that did a film on like water quality at our schools that was super cool. Like we'd watched it at school, and then we got to see them like I think they ended up winning in the documentary category. It was just beautiful to see. And I also like it really opened my eyes to all the different like categories of film. Like, yes, you have a documentary, but we also got to listen to like the comedies, some of the dramas. And it was just like, okay, well, when I come back, if I want to make another documentary, maybe I can showcase some of the stuff that I saw represented in other films. Like I think one school did one that was like, it was like kind of like reality TV show style that had like it was like their film studio, and I think they might have been from Oakland Mills, and
I think so, yeah. And
like,
like, and the cop one as well.
Oh yeah, like it's so cool to see these different styles of film and like the different camera angles you could do, the sound, the effects, and so it kind of opened my eyes to like what I could do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, like seeing all these other films, like truly like seeing like everyone's like passion and creativeness towards like these films and everything, and seeing all the different effects that they use and like things that you could also even learn too, which is really fun to see as well.
It's always a mind opener to just see how broad and of a perspective that so many different people can have all coming together at the same place. You never think about it until somebody else brings it up, and it's incredible to see all that.
It's making me think about it as well, because I just seeing what you guys were able to do, and then you get to look across the room and see someone else who had a similar project prompt but was able to come up with something totally different, and it just shows you the endless possibilities in filmmaking and which audiences these films touch, whose lives these projects can change. Not only while you're creating it for yourself, it's changing your life, it's changing your perspective. You're getting this up close and personal experience with it, but you're also hopefully getting a chance to open up somebody else's mind to, oh, wow, I didn't know this much, or I didn't know someone could go and make a film about the flooding that's going on here that can have such a captivating effect. But I was going to ask you guys, what do you hope audiences take away from the Flood of Resilience?
I hope that audiences really learn the importance of community and building community, because even through our like process of making this, I mean, the three of us, we made a community in order to make this film, and it was through having a community in Old Ellicott City that we were able to reach out to these people and just to see like all the love and support that, I mean, I remember I was young when the floods happened, but I remember like all the stations that were set up to help people, and like the food drives, clothing drives, like discounts at stores for families that needed help. And so I hope that even as our world is changing and evolving and getting bigger, when we start to focus more on like consumerism and like on our phones and technology, that we tie back to human connection. And I thought that really was an overarching theme in our documentary and our documentary process.
I'd say that, yeah, it's so important for people to realize that like they are a part of something like bigger than just themselves, whether they realize it or not, and that there are things that people can do, that people could either vote for or like help initiate, that can not only benefit themselves but also like build their community to be stronger.
And even whether you realize it or not, like Leinani says, like the change that you can make. Like we interviewed our one of our delegates to Maryland state government, Courtney Watson, and even she was telling us about like all the bills that she's helped draft that would help. Like she's in the process of drafting a bill that would help keep corporations accountable for like the pollution that they release into the environment. And she was able to work with Katie Fry Hester, one of our representatives, to help secure funding for the Safe and Sound project that was going to help rebuild Old Ellicott City. And just hearing that, to know that like two people could, obviously not just them, but two people could initiate all this change that could help so many people, was really powerful to learn about.
It's rewarding because the more you dig, the more you get. Now you go through and you comb through these issues that look a certain way from the vantage point you have from the outside looking in. Once you're inside of it, now you can see some of the different factors that play into remedying these problems. You can see, okay, how finances plays a role into it. You can see how climate change plays a role into it. You can see how your local county government plays a role. And then you can see which roles the community plays, the students, the education system plays in helping get the word out. So I think it's a overarching and a full plate of information that you guys were able to sit down and break down for everybody so that they could get a better understanding of what was going on with the world around them, even if it was right there in their own backyard. I'm really excited for more people to see it. Can I ask, just out of curiosity, what's next for you guys? Any future ideas or projects that you guys want to do that was sparked by taking on this task?
I think that definitely after this year, like we definitely through our school, like despite that this was just that this started as just a school project, I think it's become much bigger than that, at least for all of us. And so I think that maybe looking ahead, maybe we're like looking back and like trying to do more things to help our community, not only through like film and raising awareness, but I also think like like doing more advocacy per se. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And who knows, maybe we might enter in the CSPAN project again next year. We'll have to see what the prompt
Who
is,
knows? Yeah.
what comes to light. I think I definitely learned a lot from this experience. And if I was like to do another film, which I think will definitely be in our future, I can now know, okay, well, this is the process it takes, how long it takes. I feel like we definitely did rush it more towards the end. We underestimated the amount of time editing can take.
Yes,
But
we did.
it would be cool to be part of the HoCo Film Fest again.
You know, I'm sure even with some of the box office films that we get to enjoy in theaters, I know a lot of them I've heard, I listen to certain podcasts, and a lot of their processes of having to have these deadlines and have to close production and you have to stop shooting on certain dates. And so you guys have gotten real industry experience doing a project that started off right here at school. And so I'm just glad to hear you guys were able to overcome that adversity and still get it done and still put out a project that can really help change people's perspective. It can open the world up to you guys in terms of advocacy and different things that you can pour your energy into that can make the Howard County community and Ellicott City a better place. And so I'm really glad that I was able to talk to you guys today, and I thank you for your time. Thank you so much, Gabby, Leinani, and Anna, for sharing your story and your film with us. The Flood of Resilience is a testament of the power of youth voices and the strength of storytelling. If you'd like to watch this film and other films from the 2025 HoCo Student Film Festival, check out the festival's YouTube channel, or we'll link the film also to this podcast. Whether you're a student filmmaker or a fan of local talent, this is a must-see festival, and we're going to make sure we keep doing our job to support it here at Howard Community College. And until next time, I'm your host, Matt Jackson. Keep creating and keep listening. As we wrap up today's episode, one thing is clear. The Howard County Student Film Festival is more than just a showcase. It's a launch pad, a platform where students like Gabby, Anna, and Leinani can turn local stories into lasting impact. Their documentary, The Flood of Resilience, reminds us that storytelling isn't just about what happened. It's about what we do next. And thanks to platforms like Dragon Media and Howard Community College, these stories are reaching wider audiences than ever before. To all the students who participated in this year's festival, congratulations. Your voices matter. Your work matters. And we can't wait to see what you guys do next. So until next time, I'm your host, Matt Jackson, and this has been Campus Drive, your one-way street to all things HCC. Thank you for listening to Dragon Podcast. You can find this episode and all other Howard Community College podcasts available for your listening pleasure on all streaming platforms, as well as Podbean at podbean.com/Dragon Podcast. Thank you for listening.